Welcome to the Grassroots Garage Podcast. I'm James Bell.
And I'm Joshua Krakow.
We've been friends for years, and like a lot of you, we're fed up with the direction this country's headed.
Going after the real problems, the one headlines skip and politicians dodge.
Let's light it up.
We're just talking about the freaking
What?
cannabinoid bill.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, what do you think about it? I mean,
I think it's stupid.
yeah.
I mean, Florida still hasn't legalized recreational use marijuana. Probably should.
Yeah.
And now you're talking about banning a cannabinoid. What is it? Heck do they call it?
What do you mean?
Not THC. The other.
Oh, well, they have THCA,
CBD.
CBD.
Well, that's what
Delta
it's
8.
all. It's all technically CBD. The Delta 8, the THCA, the Delta 10, what all the different ones. They're all technically classified as a CBD.
Okay,
That's why they can legally sell it at a vape shop.
gotcha.
It's not THC.
I don't know all the chemical stuff, so I know that, like, they say, like, THCA, I think, when it heats up, I guess it activates almost like it is THC, but it's not actually THC.
Well, that's why. I mean, it probably has a strain of THC in it. The reason they get away with it, the legal bill itself states Delta 9 is the only regulated substance. Delta 9 is the medical marijuana.
Gotcha.
So Delta 8 is still a type of THC. If you ever had it, you know it's a type of THC, but it's classified legally as a CBD.
Yeah.
Which is why I can get away with selling it. Same thing with the THCA and all the other random.
It's all freaking stupid to me. I mean,
It's
I think
legalized recreational.
well, I think recreational, but also, I mean, just let people grow it. Like, I personally am on the side of, like, 3 plants per adult. Like, I think that's more than enough for personal use. You're not going to be a drug dealer, which, I mean, prohibition works great in history.
It might end up causing some drug dealers, but handle those on a case-by-case basis.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a plant. And, I mean, you know that I used to have my medical marijuana card. I don't know if you know that I don't have mine anymore. I wasn't able to get it anymore because pain is no longer enough. Losing my leg was not enough to qualify. And then they wanted to tell me that I had to, the doctor said, hey, if you say that you have mental health problems or you have anxiety or whatever, then we can prescribe it to you. I'm like, no, that's the last thing I need because, I mean,
I know why.
I believe in I understand the workarounds with marijuana laws with the Oklahoma Native American Church, and it's the First Amendment case. They've won with the Supreme Court. And I am a part of the Native American Church, which I see them being natural sacraments. I think that there are reasons that there are plants and stuff like that that allow you to enlighten yourself. And with that being said, I don't want to get into the constitutional First Amendment and all that law if I do get into the bubble. So I choose to do Delta 8 or THCA. But yeah, I definitely don't want to say that I do it. I don't have to worry about because I'm protecting myself, my Second Amendment, by carrying that. If it comes to my Second Amendment, I will definitely declare my Second Amendment. I'm using marijuana, which I don't because it's not. Yeah,
You're using CBD.
but
Legal.
yeah, but when I was using medical marijuana, I was using it legally, constitutionally, because I was protected under my constitutional rights, but due to freedom of religion.
Right.
But
Well,
at the end of
and
the day,
technically, there's a loophole in Florida, at least. I can't speak for other states, where you can get your medical and have your concealed at the same time.
well, that's
Now they passed the constitutional carry anyway for concealment, so you don't even need a concealed carry in Florida. So
yeah.
I guess technically it doesn't matter anymore.
Well, it does because at the end of the day, it's still federally considered a Schedule 1 drug. If you are not a
Well, technically CBD is not. That's why they get away with it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the interesting thing.
Although I can't.
But what I'm saying is, when I had the medical, I was protecting myself. When I did have medical marijuana, I was still protected under the Second Amendment because it's part of my religious sacraments.
I got you.
But again, it's
when
not.
you said Second Amendment, sorry, I thought you were talking about being able to carry while having the card, because that was an issue.
Well, that's why I don't. I still carry without having concerns when I did have my medical marijuana card, because I would be able to say, hey, constitutionally, at this point, I believe in my medical marijuana card giving me my right to smoke marijuana, but also I had the aspect of my Native American church. It ultimately, federal is protected, and then state is protected as well.
Right.
Where now I have to go to federal court to argue I still have my right for Second Amendment because they want to restrict it because of a Schedule 1 drug. Now, it's not a Schedule 1 drug for me because it's a religious sacrament, and that's protected under the First Amendment. So, getting into the nuances of it.
I find that part funny, the whole religious part of it. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. And it's been shown that it is constitutional. The church sued the sheriff's department, and they killed their peyote plant, and that was a religious sacrament to them, and they had to pay penance. Because they destroyed their plants.
I get it. It's part of their religion. We have freedom of religion for a reason.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's my opinion.
That does open up the door for some abuse. But if you can say it's a religion that's been around for a very long time, and they've been using it for a very long time, I don't see a problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I always say laws are just morals, just forced upon you by a politician. And the politician is just a guy that wins a popularity contest. And that's it.
But a lot of times with a politician, it has nothing to do with morals.
No.
It has everything to do with...
If it had to do with morals, you'd have, hey, here are my bills, and I'm going to floor them, and you can hold me accountable. But we don't have politicians that are saying, this is how I'm going to do, and I'm going to actually do it.
And since we just jumped straight into this without even explaining what we were talking about, we're talking about SB 438, which is the Florida bill that apparently, according to, multiple news sources, I'm not going to cite this one because it's pretty stupid, that there is a Delta 8 and Delta 10 bill, SB 438, that has unanimously passed the Florida Senate, which would place restrictions on the sale and potency of basically CBD products, hemp-derived cannabinoids, as they're calling it. And it puts some restrictions on Delta 9, limiting it to 50 milligrams per container, which I don't think that's unreasonable. I don't know why we need a bill for it.
Yeah, I personally...
I don't know if you've ever taken 50 milligrams in a sitting, but it's definitely not recommended.
No,
At least not more than that.
I'm very much of a libertarian on that. Like, I don't believe in regulating it at all. But it always was interesting when you get a medical marijuana license and you can have so much. It was like, I could never imagine, like, I'd have to be eating it. That would be my diet, marijuana. Like, I'd be a vegetarian.
The only regulations on it that makes sense to me is obviously moving mass quantities of it, because then you're doing something you probably shouldn't be doing if you don't have the legal business structure to do so. And age.
Yeah.
Age restriction nobody should be against that. You don't need high school kids being able to go to the corner bodega and pick up a coon joint.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
Well,
But what I'm reading here, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but vape stores, according to what I just read, the CBD products are unregulated in Florida.
So
that
18,
that would mean the Delta 8
go?
and all that kind of stuff technically could be sold to a minor, according to what I read. I don't know if that's true or not, but the vape stores, I will say, every single one I've been to, at least in this area, has a sign on the door that says under 21, no sale. So they won't sell anything in the store if you're under 21.
Yeah,
they sell incense and stuff too. You can't even buy that shit.
Yeah, I don't think that... I'm pretty sure the vape store that I've gone to, and all of them that I've gone to, say 21 and older.
Yeah, there's a sign right on the door.
Yeah.
No sale under 21.
I mean, I'm 36 now, so I don't really get ID'd.
Yeah, I don't pay too much attention to those signs anymore either. I'm just saying I've noticed
Yeah.
them. So, I mean, they're not selling them to minors, or at least,
Yeah.
in theory, they're already stating that they're not.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's happening or not, I can't speak to.
Yeah. No, the problem really just with regulations is it really makes it so that way the entry to get into something is much higher.
Oh, yeah. Well,
And
why...
that's why I'm saying, like, if you want to grow it, like, I don't really have a problem with mass quantity. I think the mass quantity aspect would be, hey, you know what? I got it from this person, and it was dosed with this. And that's where the problem comes into, is when you're actually poisoning people or something like that, or you're giving somebody a product that's not... But really...
Well, that's why I say
really
mass quantity should only be handled by businesses that are on the books doing that business. Like, in my profession, I can't go out and do it unless I'm licensed.
Yeah.
They know that I'm in that profession. They know that I'm doing that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not, in mind you, for my particular profession, I'm not going to get into that here, but it's stupid. It shouldn't even exist in my profession, but it does.
Yeah.
For something like that, it definitely should. It just should. It's just like you can't go out and start a freaking brewery without doing the things to start the brewery. You can't just go start whipping up a batch of moonshine in your garage, bottling it and selling it. Although, ironically and completely off topic, that's the only way.
Well, you can't sell it.
Well, that's the only way to become legal selling moonshine in Tennessee. Do you know that?
What?
You can't get the license to sell moonshine in Tennessee unless you're currently selling moonshine in Tennessee. But you can't sell moonshine in Tennessee unless you have the license to sell moonshine in Tennessee. So you have to illegally make it and illegally sell it before you can legally do it.
Yeah.
At least that's what I was told by a local distillery. Anyway, that's a little off topic.
Yeah, no, I just don't think... I don't trust government to protect us. I think that we've seen that they don't. And the idea of, like, hey, you know what? They're going to solve all this. I really think that we just need to start getting back to the community aspect. And really part of that is buyer beware. Like, start dealing with people that you know, that you can trust. Stop talking to strangers. Like, it's...
Unfortunately, the type of world that we live in, there's so many people doing it. So, like, if you just made it fair game, anybody can grow weed and sell it to anybody. Dude, you're going to have some...
How many people die of fentanyl every day in the United States?
Well, that's a whole other topic when we start talking about pharmaceuticals and smuggling and...
How many people die of marijuana every day?
Basically none.
Zero!
I mean, there could be...
Okay, well...
I wouldn't doubt that there's incidents related that are not the direct cause of the marijuana. Somebody operating heavy equipment or something while they're stoned is not a good idea.
Yeah.
But, so, my point is, though, in its current state, I agree with you that I don't trust government to protect us. However, the whole reason government was created in the first place wasn't necessarily to protect us, but the reason some of these regulations came up were to do just that. Now, they've been perverted over the years by corrupt politicians, but the initial reason for it, and if you look back before everything got messed over the last 100 years, you'll probably see that. Like, again, you can't just have anybody selling it. You're going to have people dying. Like you just said, fentanyl. They're going to have people growing weed, lacing it with fentanyl to get them hooked more on it.
And if you said, hey, buyer beware, oh my God, you went to John and John sold you something and you now had a heart attack? Okay, well, I'm not going to go to John again.
Not everybody has those connections. Just ask around.
And that's the problem is Benjamin Franklin, a common quote that I say is, if you are willing to give up your sense of freedom, if you were willing to give up your liberties for a sense of security, you will end up with neither. And that is what you are doing, is you are giving up your liberties for a sense of security, that government is going to keep us safe, that government busts all these marijuana, that they bust all these meth, all these, and we're going to be safe. But at the end of the day, we're just giving up, just like the Patriot Act.
But what you have to look at is what's going to be the effective results of that.
Do you understand how many law enforcement officers we have in Lee County?
Hold on. So what you just said about only going based on what your neighbors say and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Think about the actual effect of that, let's say over the course of 5 to 10 years. If that becomes the case, who are people going to look to?
Community.
No.
They're going to look on the internet?
Yes. They're going to Google it. GTS, Google that shit. That's all they're going to do. And they're going to go based on the reviews.
Sure.
All right?
And that'd be good too.
No, it wouldn't. Because anybody trying to get in that field now can't.
What do you mean?
Nobody's going to trust them. If we're based on the guidelines that anybody can do anything, and all of a sudden these people died from fentanyl because it was laced in their weed, because that's the conversation we're having. Obviously, this could apply for a lot of different things, but they're not going to buy from anybody except for the 5-star reviews on Google.
Okay.
So you're making a level of entry.
No, I
to
disagree.
the point where you'd have to buy reviews to enter, which you can already do anyway.
I disagree. I think that, like, for example, if we're talking about, like, going on the marijuana aspect, if I bought marijuana or I grew marijuana and then I started to make cookies and I said, hey, James, I'm going to start selling some edibles. You'd say, you don't have any reviews? Sorry, I'm not going to buy?
Well, no.
Or would you say, hey, you know what, I'll buy? Or, hey, you know what, even I trust you. You're not going to put fentanyl. I'll even give you a good review, because how many reviews are actually done by that? I mean, we look at this boating situation that we just had, and how many of these boaters got good reviews because people were going on their page thinking that they were the wrong person, and then they'd say, I'm not that person, and then they'd get amplified in the reviews because people felt sorry for them. Like,
when it's a personal acquaintance, like what you just said, obviously that's not going to be the case. But that's not where you get the primary portion of your business from.
That's how you start a business. You start with 1, and then you work your way up to 10.
Granted, but again, if everybody's just going to Google, which is what they'll do if there's no licensing.
If I wanted to start a lawn mowing business, and I got a little push mower, or a pressure washing business, and a little pressure washer, you start out somewhere, and then you work your way up.
Agreed.
You're not going to be able to get the presence on the internet, but one review will... And honestly, the internet really...
Well, that's an unregulated thing. Pressure washing, you're not ingesting something. That could be potentially laced with fentanyl.
I mean,
like,
some people use...
Nobody's going out there with their pressure washer and blasting your house with fentanyl. It would be too damn expensive.
They use muriatic acid.
For concrete, maybe. Normally it's just SH.
Yeah, but...
Bleach.
But
that's my point, though. And
gases.
There actually are some states that have licenses for pressure washers, which I personally think is stupid, but they do. Again, the difference is this is something that can mess up people's lives. It really can.
Marijuana? Yeah. Or...
Marijuana, when you're young, can mess up your life.
In a plate. As plain. Just basic marijuana?
Yeah.
Without fentanyl or...
Without controlled use of it. Like, as an adult, you understand that, okay, I've got to do this, I have responsibilities, blah, blah, blah. You don't abuse it.
I personally would say my daughter, if she were 18 or something like that, I'd be, okay, yeah, I guess we can... I don't know, I think I would be able to justify it more when they're 18. It's kind of where...
And that's what I'm saying, minors in particular, and even young adults, because let's be realistic, in this society, even when you're 18... really not that mature anymore, because so many people are, kind of raised in a bubble.
Yeah.
You don't really start maturing until your mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And used incorrectly, just like alcohol, if it's used appropriately, doesn't really affect your life much, if at all.
Yeah.
Same thing with THC. But if you drink like a freaking fish, yeah, it's probably going to fuck your life up.
Yeah.
So as I'm sure you guys noticed, we had to cut some stuff there. YouTube doesn't like the truth bombs that we're dropping. We got to kind of clean it up a little bit for them. So if you want to catch the real, unfiltered, raw, uncut video footage, check us out on X, check us out on Rumble. Links are going to be down in the descriptions. Thanks.
But like I was saying, anyway, we're back. Hi.
No, but like I didn't smoke until I was 28. I didn't do that kid stuff, but I don't really, I mean, I know a few people that just never grew up, but I don't think that was like marijuana. I just think that there's certain people that never grow up. Like I know a lot of people that in high school, and I think I know a few that started in middle school that, I mean, they smoked. Some of them stopped. Some of them smoke still. I mean, I don't think that they're all, like, I just feel like a lot of that was this whole like hippie LSD push and like marijuana is gonna kill everybody when it was really the LSD that the government was giving everybody.
Well, I guess there was a lot of laced. I mean, I wasn't alive back then. They say there was a lot of laced weed too.
Well, that was probably a lot of the government too.
Liquid LSD on that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, government. Wasn't there? Isn't there like a lady that? I feel like I watched this documentary about somebody that back in like the 80s, still had a license to smoke marijuana legally in Florida. But there's only like very few people that can still do this before like the big push, like in California and Colorado. Like I'm pretty sure there were a few people that got marijuana that was made and grown by the state of Florida or by this government. Let me see.
Yeah, that I don't know. I mean, back to the point that I was making right before we cut the break.
Yeah.
You have, when it comes to something like a substance like that, the reason why we have regulations on alcohol, one is so that we know that it's safe to consume and it's not something crazy out there, or at least we hope. And two is to, I mean, there might be too many regulations on it, really, but to keep minors away from it. It's kind of like off camera before we started, we brought up this bill, and we talked about no use in public is what the new HB 836 or whatever the hell bill I mentioned earlier is talking about.
Yep.
And you said, well, I don't know about that. And I said, well, in public, I agree. In all the states where it's legalized recreationally, some states it is publicly legal. You can't do it in public parks, within so many thousand feet of a school, all that kind of stuff. We don't need to be introducing kids that aren't introduced to it. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
So I get that.
It's like the same thing having the drunk guy walking on the side of the road drinking a bottle of whiskey, and your kid sees it, and they're like, what is that guy doing? And he's stumbling down the fucking road like an idiot.
I mean, I would much rather, no, personally though, I'd much rather my kids see somebody drinking a bottle of whiskey stumbling down the road looking like a fool, because I'd be able to have a conversation with my daughter saying, yeah, this is a drunk that, look at how embarrassing he is. And that's a conversation.
We still don't need that. I mean, if you look at California, I'm pretty sure it's legal public use there, just not in parks and yada yada.
Marijuana?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
And I've never actually been to California. I'm not sure if I want to.
Here, look it up real quick. While you do that, I'm going to play this. This is actually what I was referring to.
Back to...
Yeah, about to the marijuana.
Yes. 1980s and 1990s who legally received marijuana from the U.S. federal government through a program called the Compassionate Investigational New Drug, IND, program. What was the Compassionate IND program? The program was launched in 1978 after a glaucoma patient named Robert Randall successfully sued the federal government, arguing that cannabis was a medical necessity for his condition. This led to the U.S. government allowing him, and eventually others, to receive medical marijuana grown by the federal government. The marijuana was cultivated at the University of Mississippi, dried, rolled into joints, cigarettes, and sent to patients in tin canisters. Patients typically received 300 to 700 joints per month. The marijuana was low potency compared to modern cannabis, averaging around 3-4% THC. Peak and shutdown of the program. By the early 1990s, the program had grown to include over a dozen patients with conditions such as glaucoma, multiple sclerosis, and AIDS-related wasting. However, in 1992, under President George H.W. Bush, the federal government closed the program to new applicants, citing concerns about increased interest from AIDS patients during the height of the epidemic. Officials feared it would undercut the federal position that marijuana had no medical value.
We could stop there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had that, and it's funny that we've had that since the 70s. We've been fighting this medical thing, and...
Well, when was that stupid movie released? The one that they showed in school. So I think it was like the 60s or something like that. It was to scare people off weed, back when there was the big prohibition, and it was like 25 years in jail for possession and all that kind of craziness.
Yeah.
They came out with, what was, somebody in the comments told me that movie. somebody's gonna know what I'm talking about. It was like an old school movie. The guy was like high, he was driving down the road and killed somebody in his car. It was so bad.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
But that's
hilariously bad.
But that's kind of the thing, though, is just we really fall for a lot of the government propaganda. And I think that's really why we give up our liberties.
You know me. I know our audience doesn't know me, at least not yet. But as far as my political leaning goes, I'm probably more libertarian than I am anything else. Obviously, anybody can guess based on my shirt that I'm probably right-leaning libertarian. But I believe in less government. But I still say we should have some form of regulation when it comes to certain things, such as guns, for example. I'm wearing a 2A shirt. I believe in the Second Amendment. But I don't believe felons should be able to get guns. That is a regulation of some sort.
We'll get into that later.
It's a topic for another podcast. And maybe there should be a way. Anyway, that's a topic for another podcast. I'm not saying blanket, is all I'm going to say right now.
Yeah.
But there needs to be regulations on certain things. Booze is one of them. Whether it's just an age regulation and then regulations on the businesses,
so
there are things that need to be in place. And same thing would be for weed. Again, we go back, you mentioned the fentanyl coming across the board.
Yeah.
We don't need weed flying around laced with fentanyl. And to your point, people may not know about it until they've already had it. And then at that point, you're already addicted.
See, I think that unfortunately, people have this sense of security way more than they actually should.
Oh, I agree 100%.
At the end of the day, it's illegal to fraudulently call people and steal money. It's been a problem stealing money from elderly since before the internet. And we haven't been able to figure out how to secure our phone lines and make sure that the elderly aren't getting robbed through Nigerian phone calls. Like, this is rudimentary. So if they can't stop that and track and stop your money from getting sent,
I do think that.
I mean, what's to say that they can control 330 million people? All these regulations mean more people working for government to make sure that things are getting implemented. And at the end of the day, I feel like you have to be almost 5 people removed to some extent based on the level of regulations that people want to see.
Well, I think nowadays, we're already starting to see the vast majority of the population not trusting the government anyway.
Well, yeah.
But that's not really my entire point behind the regulation. Without any regulation, a minor can go buy it. And you already said that you don't agree with minors being able to do it. Now, to your point, you're probably talking about that should be the parents' responsibility to stop the minors. And that's a novel point. But if you've been to...
I don't think it's novel.
Oh, it's novel.
I think it's very...
The reason I say it's novel is because have you been to any public school and seen how some of these kids are being not raised?
I think that it's novel if you actually look at, like, macro. It's very novel that parents are so... just flagrant about, hey, somebody else raised my kid, I don't care. Like, I don't know that person.
I agree.
You are a great teacher. I'm going to send my kid to some, I mean, back in the day, I had to call as a kid. I rode my bike down the road. Hey, Mom, I got to a friend's house. Okay, good. Let me talk to their parents for the first few times. Like,
yeah,
kids are not being raised by their parents, and parents, I think that's very novel. I think that I was thinking about this earlier today.
So you're trying to make the point that if we took away the regulations, it would force parents to actually become parents again.
Yes. I think that very much, like,
I agree with you to an extent, but that's going to be a small percentage. There are so many parents out there that can't parent.
So here's the extreme, okay?
Not well.
How many car accidents do you think per capita people used to get in versus nowadays?
Wait, I'm sorry, what now?
Even with modern technology, do you think that people are getting in more car accidents today than they were back in the day?
Oh, vastly.
Why?
Well, it's not just one singular reason, but
because
there's multiple. One, and I can tell you this from very recent experience, is that for your driver's license, at least in Florida, you don't even have to take a driving test anymore.
What?
Not a physical driving test.
Really?
I'm not even kidding. They randomly select certain individuals that will have to take a driving test. So the vast majority get their license without ever taking a driving test. The written test, if you want to call it that, is digital. It's on the computer, and you can take it at home. So you can literally just...
I want to look this
Google
up
the
because I
entire
honestly
thing.
don't believe this. Go ahead, I'm listening.
I just found out about this very recently for close reasons. I thought it was absolutely insane. They also, you'll get a kick out of this. I'll wait till you're done texting so you can remember.
You're good, I'm listening.
All right. They force you, in order to get your license as a 15-year-old, to get your permit, you have to take a drug and alcohol course. Legally, you have to take this course, right?
I don't know. Google AI is telling me that you do have to. Let me see what ChatGPT
Well, let
says.
me put it to you this way: the 15-year-old, my son, who is currently trying to get his learner's permit, and his mother have both told me that he does not have to take a driving test unless he's randomly selected. He also had to take an online course for drug and alcohol abuse type stuff. And guess what was in this lovely little government provided article?
I don't know, some trans stupid something.
So he's sitting on the couch taking it while I'm sitting on the couch working. And he literally goes, huh. I'm like, what? He goes, this thing's teaching me how to make drugs. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, right here. And he read it off. And literally, it was like, it named off some, I don't know, some slang term for this random drug that kids are taking these days. And it was like Coca-Cola mixed with cough syrup, and you mix it together and put it in a bottle. It's telling him what it's called and telling him how they produce it. And that wasn't the only one. There was numerous drugs that it did that with. I'm just sitting there like, you're exposing kids that haven't been exposed to this. You're not paying attention.
I am, I'm listening.
It's exposing kids to things that they shouldn't be getting exposed to. He's 15. He didn't know how to make that. Or maybe he did. I don't know. He was in high school. But, like, if he didn't, he does now. It's like DARE. Remember DARE when we were in school?
Yeah.
They said DARE, like, contributed to the delinquency of minors more than, like,
I've heard that.
any other program they started. Because they literally passed a briefcase around the room that had cocaine and heroin in it. Or at least a substance that looked like it. I don't know if it actually was it. But.
So, ChatGPT says, in Florida, taking a driving road skills test is not random, but there are specific cases where it might seem like some people are randomly selected to take it, especially if during license transfers or under certain administrative decisions.
That's basically stating that not everybody has to take it.
First-time applicants never licensed before. No random. You must take a driver's test if you've never had a license before. Applicants applies to both teens and adults, is what it says.
Oh, well, I might be wrong on that, but that's what I heard.
Yeah.
I didn't look into any sources.
That seems... I mean, what the way that they did the motorcycle test...
Let's say even if they didn't have to take a driving test, what did you have to do in your driving test when you took it when you were 15, 16, whatever?
I took driver's ed.
Well, I did too. You still take a driver's test. I remember mine.
I don't recall. I mean, I just think that we had to make sure that we used our turn signal, that we slowed down for a yellow or caution, and if it was red, and...
So, when I took mine, we didn't even need the parking lot.
Oh, really?
We pulled out of a parking spot, and there was cones on either side of it, and you had to make sure you didn't hit any of the cones when you backed out. You had to pull down the road, do a small three-point turn, make sure you use your turn signals, like you said, going around the corners in the student parking lot. You had to do your little three-point turn, literally came back and parked in the parking spot. As long as you didn't hit any of the cones, along the way you passed.
My driver's ed, I don't remember...
Back to your question, where you said, why do we have more accidents than we used to have with less technology? One, we have a vastly higher population. So we're going to have more accidents just based on greater population, more people with cars. Like 40 years ago, not everybody had cars. There was still some public transit being used, especially in the lower income households. Nowadays, I mean, how many people do you ever see take the local bus? I mean, there's like 10 people on it at any given time. It's a huge waste of taxpayer money, even though we're building new bus depots.
Let me wind it up real quick. So my point is that I think that we would be way safer. There would be less car accidents if, rather than putting airbags in cars and making cars safer, if we actually made them less safe. If you put a spike in the steering wheel, people would start driving smarter. Why? Because their sense of security is no longer there, so they actually... My point is that when Johnny was coming to school in a full body cast, or we'd have to go and see him in the hospital because he had a seatbelt on, but it was just a big block and you were tied to a block, people would understand the consequences. Now people, I totaled my car and I got a scratch.
No, well, cars nowadays actually crumble more than...
Well, no, I'm saying you got a scratch and you totaled your car.
Yeah, your person, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they took jaws of life out to you.
There is an argument to be had that taking away safety blankets...
Getting rid of the guardrails.
It forces people to basically function better.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like the reason why we have there's so many people on welfare, government welfare and stuff like that, because there's so much of a safety blanket that people are just living off of the safety blanket.
Exactly.
Which again, that's another whole podcast topic that we could go on for an hour, but
yep.
There's still got to be some regulations. Even Elon Musk had reportedly stated, he was complaining about all the regulations that he had to go through to create the Tesla brand and all the cars and all that crap. But he said even with all the regulatory part was the hardest of getting that business going and being able to sell a car in the U.S. But he even agreed with it. He was like, he said, I don't agree with all of them.
That's because he could afford the regulations.
Granted.
Anybody that wants to, if I wanted to start manufacturing cars out of this garage right now, if I made more than I think 10, I would have to go and get a large mass scale. It would cost me millions of dollars, even if I were only making 12. It's not that I'm making 100, now it's 10, now you have to get this license, and you have to be a millionaire to get this license.
I wouldn't say that's so the regulation's necessarily the problem, the implementation of it might be. Maybe there needs to be somebody you can, obviously there's not a lot of people trying to make cars, so maybe that's why that's the case. But they should be able to send out a government employee just to, like, when you build a house, you get the house inspected.
Exactly. When you get a permit and the government inspector comes out, are you okay talking about work? How often does a home inspector come in after the state's inspector comes in
and finds problems? I agree.
So
I'm not saying it's perfect.
The state inspector,
I'm not saying it's perfect, but like, for example, in Florida, you look at the newer building codes that are supposed to make us more resilient to hurricanes. They really do. Builders would not be putting Simpson tie straps over every single truss if they didn't have to. It's costing them money.
This house that I'm living in is built in 1985, and it is built better than the house that was built in 2010.
If your house was on Fort Myers Beach, it would be gone when that wave came.
My 2010 house would be gone too.
Well, it's entirely possible, but a 2023 house wouldn't. There's ones out there that are still standing, that are right next to houses that are gone.
That are not. What I'm saying is at the end of the day, if I built a 2025 house in Fort Myers here to this code, not beach code, because beach code's different than this code.
High velocity wind zones, yeah. High velocity.
And surge zones. Storm surge.
Yeah. They got to be built on pylons.
They got to be pylons into the ground. And yeah, there's major differences. You can't compare apples to oranges. So this house is a 1985 house. This house next to a 2025 house.
To prove my point, let me just say this. Homeowners insurance companies are all private, right? They're out to make a profit, right?
Sure.
Most people hate homeowners insurance companies. It's going to be a bad experience for them because they're out for profit. They want to make money.
Yeah.
They charge less money for a new construction than they do for an old construction. Why is that? There is less risk on the new construction to fall apart in a major storm than there is for the older home. It's just plain and simple. Now, there are some exceptions to that. Some of your older homes have dimensional lumber for decking, and there's different things that can make older homes more durable. Some are made on site out of Florida pine wood, yellow pine, which hardens over time, turns into like hard as steel. But I think we're getting off topic.
Yeah. Well, no. The point is that you have governments come in and inspect it, and they fail to adequately discover problems, and then because government has no liability,
they're not all like that though. So now,
government had liability.
I agree they should have liability. Building code inspectors have basically zero liability. They almost have an immunity. No
government has liability. Government employees have no liability, and that's why government regulations...
They do to the people if the people actually stand up and do what they're supposed to do.
No.
If the people stand up, yes. The problem is not enough people stand up.
Okay. You're talking about riots.
No.
Yes.
Talking about...
Because at the end of the day...
Talking about voting. I'm talking about... Oh, it's late. Why can't I think of the word? Protesting.
Yeah.
Things like that actually do generally enact change.
Yes. Riot, protest, whatever. Yes.
I don't agree with rioting. Rioting is what gets people shot. Protesting is what gets people and things changed. Without having to shoot people, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that no matter what, a protest nowadays is always going to get infiltrated by some agent provocateur or whatever, so it's going to be...
I don't necessarily disagree with there.
I think it's no matter what going to be a protest, right?
Turn into a riot.
Turn into a riot. I mean, and that's where, if you get that many people that are actually going to be effective change, that are going to be able to make those volumes, that a mayor or a county commissioner... I mean, we know there's enough people in this county that are pissed off at county commissioners or whatever, and... they aren't afraid of them. Most
people don't know enough about their county commissioner to actually be mad at him. There are some, don't get me wrong, but the vast majority don't even know who their county commissioner is.
I think that if you were talking about just in the county alone, one county commissioner specifically, I could say that there is probably over 20,000 people. Now, granted, there is 800,000 people in the county, but... I can guarantee you that there is 20,000 people that would love to see that person leave the county. Not out of the job, but out of the county because they despise them so much.
That's what I just said. The people have the power if they stand up. 20,000 out of 500,000 is not enough standing up.
But if you had 20,000 people show up for a protest...
oh, that might be different.
It would be different, but then if you had 20,000 people protesting, it would become a riot because then you'd be getting agent provocateurs or... whatever, counter protest, and then it's not. So that's kind of the problem.
But we're still back to the whole regulation thing.
Yeah.
I think I proved my point simply through the public market. There's a reason insurance companies charge brand new homes less than they do old.
So here's my argument. If you had a old home that went through and had all the wires replaced in the house,
okay.
They had gone through new roof, they made everything to the same code, but it was an older house. Like, I'm pretty sure that my 1985 house has straps. Some people did go above and beyond.
Oh, no, I'm not. You're right.
And some people can retroactively go back.
You can add it.
With that being said, if you had that same house brought to that same standard, does insurance credential it the same?
Well, you receive a discount based on the roof and the age of the roof and the attachments of the roof, but no, you're still going to get rated based on your age of your home.
So, like the electrical, if you went through and replaced your AC, your electrical,
if you have all new plumbing, all new electrical, all new stuff, you're going to receive a discount of some sort.
Would it not be?
But it's still not going to be equivalent to the new construction. The new construction is less risk because it's technically built more durable. And the reason
these insurance companies are idiots
Now,
because
I'm
they
not-
don't see
I'm not
these
saying-
builders down here.
I'm not saying finishing work. These builders, some of their finishing work leaves a lot to be desired. But take like my old house.
Yeah.
It was a block house,
Mm-hmm.
right? Concrete block construction.
Yeah.
It was not reinforced concrete. So what they're doing now with block houses, and this is required, if you want to build a block house, you literally have to put rebar down the walls, down all the block walls, and you have to pour concrete down the walls. You end up with basically a solid concrete wall when you're done with poured rebar. Reinforced steel rebar.
Every cinder block is poured?
They pour it down the top, and it just flows through because they're all.
They solid pour every wall now?
Yeah.
It's not just around the windows and
I
doors?
mean, I'll double check, but I'm pretty positive. I mean, because that's your reinforced concrete.
I'm pretty sure that you just have to have it around the door frames, around the windows.
Well, you definitely have it at the top still. You have a sill plate all
Yeah.
around the top.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that you have to.
Regardless, there are some homes that are done that.
Yeah, no, there are definitely. I mean, yeah.
Whether or not it's code now, I can't.
I don't think that you have to.
I'm
do
not a
that
code
now.
inspector, but I'm pretty sure that reinforced concrete is what's required. Don't quote me on that. Wood frame homes, you used to be able to toenail your frame walls. Now you have to have a clip every so many feet. Again, I'm not a code inspector. I don't know exactly how many feet, or if somebody in the comments is a code inspector, correct me. But you do have to have clips that actually attach it to the slab.
Okay.
Didn't used to have to do that. There's things that they're doing now that they didn't have to do. Now,
Sure.
That's not to say that in the 80s, when somebody built a wood frame house, they didn't do it. They
But-
just weren't required to.
But like, you still have builders out here that are doing the cardboard freaking wraps, and that's up to code.
Well, it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't
now
be,
we're talking about
but that is.
now we're talking about the regulation being wrong, not that it shouldn't exist.
See, I think that it again should get to buyers beware. I mean, back in the day, it was
Yeah,
first
but then
homes.
how many people got to
Then
get?
it was.
How many people got to get screwed over before buyer beware?
I mean, would you ever buy a DR Horton home?
And I'm not going to blast them online, but
I will.
honestly, depending on how, if I could, yeah, I would, depending on the build-up quality of it.
You'd be a little bit more skeptical because of the reputation.
Well, I'd be skeptical of any of the big builders.
Why?
Actually, any of the little builders too. Any builder. If I was buying a new construction house, I'm going to have it inspected for one.
Why would you inspect it? Why don't you just trust the permitting inspections? Why do you need a private inspector?
Because you don't know what you don't know who the government inspector was. So there are some government inspectors, code inspectors, and actually some of the guys that are doing the code inspections aren't even government employees. There are private provider code inspections.
Yeah.
Some of them actually do their job.
Yeah.
You look at the permit records, you can actually see, failed, reinspection, passed. They're actually doing their job.
Yeah.
You're going to have bad apples in all of them, though. So yeah, you're going to get some bad code inspectors out there. So yeah, I'm going to cover my own ass and hire a home inspector who's not a code inspector, but might pick up on some of the things that might have been missed. And a home inspector is going to pick up on things that code doesn't care about. Code doesn't give a crap if your drywall looks like shit. It's not part of code.
Yeah.
Home inspector is going to say the drywall looks like shit.
Yeah.
So you still want to get a private provider that's working for you.
Here's the most libertarian actual approach. So, UL, right?
Yeah.
UL is not a government organization.
Okay.
Though almost every electronic device,
Isn't it regulated that they have to have UL
they
certification?
do not.
There's no regulation stating that.
There is
Then why do they
no.
all have it?
No. They all have it because they have been known to be such a high standard as a private entity that nobody wants to use any products other than them because of the liability. Because they know that it's safe.
Talking about Underwriters Lab, right?
Yes, Underwriters Lab. It's a private entity, not ran by government. It's not ran by the UK. It's not ran by the US. It is a private entity that specifically tests electronics to make sure that they're not going to light on fire,
Well, like I just
blow
said,
up.
There's private entity.
Why not
Code
do that with? So then why use government inspectors?
Well, we could talk about that, but we're talking about why the actual regulation exists.
Well, no. So what I'm saying is,
So even if we had no government,
get rid of the regulation.
Hold on. Let's
Yeah.
take it one step at a time.
Yeah.
Get rid of the government inspectors.
Yeah.
I could totally get behind that. Then it has to be private provider code inspectors. That would open up a whole nother market to the private industry that is mostly dominated by the government. How are we going to know what all they're supposed to follow? Now, there's no UL for how to build a house. Current. Doesn't mean there couldn't be one. That would take a long time to build up a company that has enough reputation as a private industry to be able to regulate, and they would be regulated. Because UL does regulate the electrical stuff. There's still regulations, just private versus government regulation. What the fuck's the difference if it's all regulation?
So you can buy like the processors and you can put your own board and it won't be UL certified. You can go out and sell it. Now the difference is, and this is the difference, is insurance companies will not insure you to be able to sell that product, and that's why they use UL products, is because insurance companies know that they are quality products because the underwriters lab.
Because it's UL certified.
So that's where it comes in. And again, like, I personally don't.
Now you're just talking about.
Let's get back to the house. So
but if UL's doing the regulations, there's no regulation, is what I'm saying. Whether it's private or government.
No, if I could choose to buy a product that wasn't UL. I mean, I don't go and look at every product that is or isn't, but most products are. And with that being said, if there were no regulations on building a house, guess what? I have a builder, which I really should know and trust. I mean, it's crazy how many people just say, hey, here's a picture. They don't even go and look at one of their current builds. Like, that's crazy to me. But, I mean...
There are some people that don't have the time for that crap. Like, I mean, I'm in the construction field, and I know a lot of this stuff, so I would know what to ask the builder.
Yeah.
Somebody that's, let's say, a full-time nurse working 60 hours a week, 40 hours plus overtime. They have, one, no desire, and two, no time to learn anything about how to build a house.
Okay.
They need a trusted professional.
Okay.
In their industry where they work every single day, it may be unlikely for them to meet those people, and therefore they have no contacts. I get questions from people all the time. Do you know a plumber? Do you know an electrician? Do you know a roofer? I just moved to the state.
Exactly. There you hit it.
Well, that's a lot of it here.
The problem is that we have so many people
We can't fix that problem.
We can. We
Wow,
can
tell people stop moving here?
Yes. I stop moving here.
We're full. Don't New York or Florida.
No, but
we're not going to stop people from moving to Florida.
No, so here's the thing.
And how are you going to stop them from moving? More regulation?
No.
And what?
No, so
I
think that the problem is I mean, you look at Cape Coral right now. Cape Coral, people's wells are drying up.
Yeah.
They're telling people that they can't water their yards. They're telling people that they're going to have to get bottled water and not use their well at all.
Because you got too many straws in the tap.
Too many straws in the tap, and they're tapped at 125 feet, and the most they can drop down to is 140 feet, where the lower aquifer is, I think, 250 feet, and then the city pipes down to 800 feet. So the city has monopoly on the lower aquifer, so everybody else is getting the top, and they are trying to force everybody onto the city water. But all that's going to do is it's going to make everybody into a Flint, Michigan, being reliant on government for their water. And when we are at the point where, oh shoot, we probably should figure out water desalinization rather than trying to worry about our monopoly and making sure that everybody's on our monopoly, it's going to be too late, because water desalinization and trying to get that plant up is going to cost so much money. It's not feasible.
A lot of people say that Cape Coral is overbuilt.
Well, yeah.
They're putting too many straws in the aquifer.
Yeah.
To the point of regulation.
How
would you stop it from happening without regulation? That's kind of my point.
Well, so
you
that's
would have to have regulation.
No. So what I'm saying,
the only way you could
No.
Unless, like you said,
Supplemental.
let them go down to the deeper well. But then again, you can still run into the same problem in 20
So
years.
here's the answer. The city should be starting a water desalinization plant. Rather than saying, hey, we have the straw.
I don't know enough about that to know if that's viable or
It is.
what. So
It's expensive. That's the problem.
I've heard that. That's why I said viable.
It is. But now here's the thing. Rather than the city having a monopoly on the well, because everybody has to spend way more money to get deeper. I mean, it's not like it's cheap.
It's a lot more expensive to go.
So everybody has to go deeper. But now here's the thing. You have the ability to have your well, or you have the ability to have city water. Both. Now here's the thing.
You can do that now. Well, if you have city available.
No, you can't use your well if you have city.
Yeah, you can. People do it all the time.
It's illegal.
What?
You can only use
In
your
Cape.
well. What?
Maybe in Cape.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In
No,
Cape.
that's not a blanket state law. There's plenty of houses that are on city that used to be on well that turn their well over to run their sprinklers.
Yeah, you can use well for sprinklers. You don't have to use city water for sprinklers. But you have to use city water for inside your home.
So you can't disconnect yourself, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
I got you.
You cannot say, hey, I have an 800-foot well getting fresh water, and then I'm hooking up to the city's water desalinization.
Well,
So what I would argue is that you should be able to say, hey, I'm hooked up to the city's water desalinization system, and I'm going to opt into water desalinization, or I'm going to get an 800-foot well, or I'm going to have both. And, hey, you know what? The water's getting too deep. I'm going to buy city water to supplement. And, hey, you know what? I don't have any water here, so I need the city water. I'm forced to pay that premium for that desalinated water. But, I mean, the problem is that we can't fix past problems. The problem was when they created cities like Cape Coral, they increased the population density to an unobtainable amount. And we can't say, hey, you bought your property, now, sorry you didn't build, you can't build ever. So, sorry. So we have to try and solve those problems. And water desalinization is the only way, because the only fight that we're having right now is this city having a monopoly. And eventually, you're just having one person with a big straw, but it's still dropping. Like, it's not going to actually solve the problem until you actually get supplemental, which is going to be water desalinization. And we're not having this conversation in Cape Coral. But again, that's the regulation in Cape Coral is you get in, you hook up. It's actually $40,000 to hook up.
Yes.
And you have no choice. It's a monopoly.
No,
And that's what regulations do. Is it creates monopolies.
No, I'm realizing that we kind of got quite a bit off topic, but on that topic, even though it's off topic, kind of on, we're talking about regulation, but didn't they pass a bill out there that you can't collect your own rainwater?
So there was a bill about that.
I know there's the solar one, which is complete nonsense. You can't get more than, like, what is it?
No,
90%?
so
you have to say
that's
10%
changed
of
as
stuff or
well.
something?
So, from my understanding, the law about collecting rainwater is been changed.
So you can actually water your garden with rainwater
Yes.
now and not have to worry about the county or attacking you?
I don't think that you can
City.
drink it though. I think that was one of the things was they don't want you.
I don't think I'd want to drink rainwater unless I was like...
Yeah, but needless to say, I think you can collect rainwater now, and then I think that you can do solar 100%, but you are not able to get disconnected from the grid, and you must be on a auto shut off where you have to manually cut yourself from the grid to be able to, and then you have to get a generator to provide 120 volts, so that way your solar system then sees electricity, thinking that it's connected to the grid, and your solar can actually start to produce.
What about when you have a battery backup?
Your battery backup, I do not think. There may be instances where you can have like an electronic auto cutoff where it'll automatically disconnect you from the grid. But the biggest concern, from my understanding, is They don't want you being connected to the grid, and then you backfeeding the grid,
Well, yeah.
and then they're connecting wires when there's hurricanes and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
So it makes sense.
We wire a generator into your panels.
But you can't be 100%. You can't say, "Hey, I don't ever want to be connected to city water or to the city electricity. I'm 100%."
You can't just get up there and cut your whip. That's what
Yeah, exactly. You can't say, "Screw you." They want to be able to monitor how much electricity you are using, how much you're consuming.
Yeah, see that, and this is where we agree, is that there needs to be less regulation on things. If you can run your entire house on just solar with battery packs, there's no reason you should have to be connected to the grid. So yes, we agree that we need less government regulation. But what brought us down this rabbit hole was regulation of
Marijuana.
controlled substances, really.
Yeah.
I mean, which marijuana really shouldn't be classified as a controlled substance, but it's a substance that can alter your perception of reality.
So let's go down this.
Change how you're feeling, how you're thinking.
Let's parallel that story with this parallel. So in West Virginia, they just banned food dyes.
And now, hold on, when I say things about like marijuana regulation, I'm not talking about the BS that the big marijuana companies are proposing.
No, I get that.
They're lobbying the government and they're trying to get a monopoly on it like they've done in other states. That I don't agree with. Yes, you should be able to grow your own plants, but yeah, let's be realistic about it. So as a personal use plant, is 6 enough? So most likely, do you need to have a half an acre of pot plants growing on the side of your house? Probably not.
So,
right?
so
or am I just way off base?
See, and this is where I come into play in my liberty-mindedness. Henry Ford, I don't know if you know about this, Henry Ford built a Model T with hemp fiber as the door and fender, like the whole body was made of hemp.
I did not know that.
And he then took an axe and he hit it, and it bounced back. It did not dent. He hit it and it bounced back. Hemp, I believe, is as strong as the second grade or consumer grade carbon fiber, I believe. Most of the time, we don't get the greatest carbon fiber. Aerospace gets the original carbon fiber, and then consumer grade gets it chopped up, and then we get the recycled. It gets more resin. It's not perfect. It's glued on top of glued.
Okay.
It's recycled carbon fiber. So with that being said, I believe it's equal to the recycled carbon fiber that we use in consumer products. So I think that from a standpoint, it would be way better recycling to be able to start making hemp fenders and hemp products. Hemp is way better than denim. I think that hemp could actually, I can go on to this forever.
Okay, but
hold on. Then you get into Henry Ford. His engine, he then made to be able to run on hemp oil from the seeds. So he was able to press the oil out, and he was able to drive the car on hemp oil. So there are so many aspects that you can just derive from a hemp product. Now, THC, and then you start to get into, you want to get a permit to get a THC field versus a hemp field. We got to inspect and test, and that costs entry a barrier. What if I just wanted to make some hemp clothes? And I wanted to just thatch it and make some hemp pants. And I needed a large crop.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, because they've been selling hemp since I was a child. You could buy like hemp knapsacks and miscellaneous stuff made out of hemp. So is there not a plant that grows that doesn't flower?
No.
So then how are they getting those products legally and making them and selling them?
So a lot of the hemp products are...
is it imported hemp?
A lot of it's imported, I
believe.
believe. And then also I think that it's just very regulated. I mean, if you wanted to... I looked into it, getting into the hemp industry, and you literally have to... You're talking about an inspector being in your field like every month, inspecting your crops, inspecting
they do the same thing with orange trees.
And that's crazy too.
It's not that big a deal.
It is.
Well, it's not crazy for orange trees because there's that freaking disease that whipped across.
That was well, some people. I'm not so against the theory, to be honest with you, but there is a conspiracy that that was actually manufactured to try to get rid of the orange fields, so that way we could mass burn and start selling that, or we could make insurance claims, and then we could start selling those lands for houses. And that's we aren't orange trees anymore. That was what Florida was known for. And after canker, those businesses dried up and killed a lot of mom and pop businesses, and they came into your backyard and killed your tree. I mean,
I don't know enough about that to comment on whether it was.
I don't know. I'm not saying one way or another. I just think that it's probably a coin flip.
I mean, like, if you wanted to grow, there has to be a limit. You can't just say it's a free for all. Grow as much as you want on residential land. Like, now, if there's like a zoning requirement or something like that, maybe, only in commercial or agricultural zone land. I mean, if you're zoned ag, yeah, you should probably be able to do whatever the hell you want, because ag, you can normally do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
But in residential plots, it's just like, where you should be able to have chickens in your backyard, but yeah, there needs to be regulations. I don't want my neighbor with 300 chickens. That'll be stinky, noisy, and annoying. I don't want that shit. And I don't want to have to sell my house just to get away from it. So yeah, let them have 5 or 10 chickens. That's fine. And make it, whatever. They have to keep them cooped or whatever. But
this is the problem.
Those are regulations, though.
And again, these are regulations, laws, morals, whatever you want to call them. At the end of the day, when you have a population that's always changing, I don't know if you saw about the story in Estero just recently that
before you go into the next thing, you always talk about keeping things local.
Yeah.
Stuff like that should be local, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like an individual city should be able to make those laws. But when it's a local government entity making those laws, how are those normally passed? They're normally passed through vote.
The problem with the democracy, with modern democracy, is it does not give you the option to opt out. A real, true democracy, you can opt in or out of the collective. And we do not have that option of opting out. If, for example, I was born here back in the day, here's the great example. If I was born in Cape Coral back in the day, and I loved that they could not park a pickup truck in their driveway. No, I only want cars. This is not, we do not work here. This is retirement community. Now, because the population's changed, the regulations changed, now you can have a pickup truck, you can have multiple pickup trucks. That's
actually an example of it working.
Deregulation, yes, that was deregulation, but some people like that regulation. Now, you pick and choose. If back in the day, there was only 320,000 people in Lee County when I was born here when we had that regulation.
But again, what I'm saying is...
So you get more people changing that regulation.
People want to live in a community of similar like-minded values, generally speaking. That's how people want to live. That's why you see red states, blue states, and a lot of people flocking to red states from blue states.
We still recording? Yeah, good.
Yeah, it's still recording.
We've been going.
We have. What time is it?
Oh
shit, it's late. We've got like at least an hour's worth of podcast.
Yeah.
It's like when you have a city, for example, that the entire heartbeat of that city used to be off-road.
Mm-hmm.
ATVs, four-wheelers, mud trucks, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And now you're getting all these people moving in from out.
Yep.
That are trying to change those things for the people that are already there.
Yeah. How do you circle that square?
It's hard.
You have new people forcing the people that have already been there
into
now they are assimilating to the new population. Rather than the new population being forced to assimilate to what currently is. And that's the problem.
I agree. That's
is regulations come in and make people from the past actually be forced into things, as well as, I mean, it's...
Well, the example you gave for Cape Coral is actually the opposite. That was an example of it actually working. There was deregulation happening.
That was a deregulation. But now you can't have...
like out in Lehigh, they're friggin' going after all the ATVs and dirt bikes, and you got people, you got Karens on Facebook all the time complaining about ATVs and dirt bikes and stuff. It's like, that's been happening out there for the last 40, 50 years since dirt bikes and ATVs existed.
Yeah.
That's what it's always been about. That's why some people moved out there in the first place.
I consider moving out there because of the ATV trails.
It's like, Karen, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
You should have done more research about where you were moving. Like I said, 20 minutes ago, don't New York or Florida.
Well,
if you don't like our policies, move somewhere where you do like the policies. This is all I'm trying to say.
So here's a great example. Whether it's the scrub jay, whether it's the burrowing owls, they'll move them. It's cheaper during a certain season, but they'll move them, and it really doesn't matter. The state just profits off of it. It's a regulation.
Yeah.
Some people love seeing those burrowing owls, and some people moved to Cape Coral or moved into neighborhoods because there were burrowing owls. But those regulations are just pushed for profits, and that is what happens when you continuously let government.
Agree. That's why I said I agree with you that we need less regulation in most areas, and even possibly in the ones that we were talking about, alcohol and marijuana. But
that regulation
there still has to be some, is what I'm saying.
But like that regulation, you're charging people, and it's not really doing anything, and other than profiting the state, and yeah, what is it doing? It doesn't.
Well, I think we need to start wrapping it up, but
yeah,
my general stance is we need less government.
Yeah,
there are certain things that we need government, we need regulations on. Now, the implementation of it.
What would
be left to?
Let me ask you this: do you trust? Let's go straight to it. Do you trust the food inspectors that come out to restaurants?
I trust them enough to where when I see an A on the wall, I'm not too worried, but when I see an F on the wall, I'm not eating there.
Okay. I don't know that I've ever seen an F because I'm pretty sure they'd be shut down with an F.
No, maybe.
But very rarely.
There is a local restaurant, I won't call them out, that has received numerous B's and C's that I still eat at because it's delicious.
I mean, let's just be honest. Waffle House
probably doesn't have a great
passes. How? Any Waffle House.
But again, the Wendy's, I think it was the Wendy's out in Lehigh, got shut down recently because they failed the health inspection code. Now, if that person didn't exist, and that government position didn't exist, or make it private. I don't care, but there needs to be some sort of
that somebody probably got sick.
There needs to be a third person that's not financially involved in that restaurant that needs to inspect it.
See, and I think that's really. I would much rather have. I'd much rather have.
The inspector is not financially involved in that building, except for the small fee he's getting.
Yeah.
To come in there and say yay or nay.
And that's where I think we are better off having a food inspector that is private, that goes around and grades things, just like we do with Yelp. And I would much rather trust a Yelp review than I would a food inspector.
I'm a firm believer that private does pretty much everything better than government. So I'm not in disagreement that we could have private inspectors, but there still has to be a regulation that those private inspectors are following. Because otherwise, the private inspector could just be like, yeah, they got 100%. There's roaches crawling in their soup, but it's 100%. And who are the restaurants going to hire every time? The guy fudging the numbers.
And then when people get sick, and that inspector is writing that off, he's going to get sued.
Not if his LLC's out.
What?
Not if he closes his LLC down. Who are you going to go after?
See, and I personally don't. I think people need to be way more liable than what they are, especially through businesses.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
But, no. I mean, to wrap all this up on my end, at least, yes, marijuana should be legal for recreational purposes. No, we don't need this freaking CBD bill passing because it's just stupid. Like, why? Especially since we're heading towards legalizing recreational.
Well, what did we say? Like 56%? And we needed 60?
Yeah.
What did you say, 56 or 54?
Yeah, 56.
Okay.
So we were 4% away from it passing last time. The only reason I can see for banning CBD and cannabinoids and stuff like that is to benefit the big marijuana. That's probably where this bill's coming from. It's probably lobbyists in the state trying to make that happen. Just like how the recreational use bill was completely atrocious. I think it should be recreationally legal, but I voted against it in this last vote because it was a bad bill. Again, another topic. But to wrap it up, what did I say? I said, yes, legal recreational. No, we don't need the damn SB 463, or correct me, whatever I said earlier. There's just no reason for it. But yes, we need to have some sort of regulation on recreational use, how many plants you can have in a residential area, and age limits. But they should be able to grow your own plants. Last bill didn't even have that in.
Yeah. No, I'm good with growing your own plants, but I just personally, buyer beware. I really think that today's society, we need to start having personal responsibility and
I agree, we need personal responsibility.
meritocracy. That's like the most. Yeah, we don't have meritocracy, personal responsibility, accountability, assimilation, and yeah. And without those things, we're gonna be demised. So.
All right, well, thank you guys for joining us. I think we spent a good couple hours probably at this point without even meaning to. But we're going to go ahead and sign off. At some point, we'll do an introduction video so you know who we are
Doesn't even do a timestamp.
and why we're talking.